river, run through the hills. Run, river, run to the sea. Run, river, run to your place beneath the sun. Run, river, run over me.
Hi, this is Jan Lewis. Welcome to be my guest. Today we have back a real treat. We have Jerry Caruso with us, our, I would say, resident comedian. Jerry, welcome.
Nice to be back.
Yeah, oh,
thanks for having me back.
Yeah, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
Rod, I'm going to put a shout out to Rod Lee that
yes.
he did a wonderful article about Jerry in his online newsstand, but you can also buy it and it's mailed to you. I know that's how I get
cool.
mine.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's great. And he did a good article on Jerry, which is super duper.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He did a nice job. Everybody kept saying, like, where do I get this? Like, I don't know, online. You find it anywhere. That's great, you know.
For the people who haven't met Jerry before, Jerry, give us a little lowdown where you're from, how you got into comedy.
Originally from Lynn, the city of sin. That's all everybody says. I go, I'm from Lynn. They go, oh, the city of sin. I'm like, okay, sure thing. I didn't commit any sins.
No.
Not that I know.
Nothing.
Because I'm Catholic and we tend to sway the truth. Ask any nun that's had me. So I'm from Lynn, and it just all started back in grammar school. I started to entertain students with doing different voices in the schoolyard, entertain them. The nuns were happy because the kids weren't beating each other up. And I did my thing and had a great time. Got into high school, waited till junior year, started to do things on the, of course, the Catholic school, so everything's forbidden. So I was on the steps going to another building, and everybody would slowly gather around. It's like, oh my God, you know.
What were you doing? Were you doing voices or just making
voices, telling jokes, but mostly voices back then. And they enjoyed it. And then all of a sudden, someone goes the following year, the senior year, they go, you should MC the football rallies. We'll feed you the material. Like, well, what do you mean? I go, well, the nicknames for all the football players, just going to introduce each one. And I just did it as like a voice I can't do anymore, like Howard Cosell, famous sports announcer. And I'd announce the team, and they were all over it because I had the stage because you were talking like 48 players. Yeah. So it's like, 10 seconds for each player, then they come up. So I was on there for a long time.
And you were how old now?
That was like 16, 17.
So you were like maybe your junior year of high school?
Senior year.
Senior year.
Just got into my senior year because I didn't turn 17 until, or 18, whatever, until November that year. And so then all of a sudden, I get in trouble here and there, like any good Catholic boy.
Why, you? I can
like any good Catholic boy.
Whoa.
Got in trouble, but all minor stuff, nothing major. And all of a sudden, someone goes, they got a senior banquet. So they have a pianist who's going to play music. She's very good, also a senior in my class. It's so funny, the two girls that I worked with for that show, we had a small graduating class. I think I got 178. And like, not that I never met them, but you know how you're in the classes, you get probably the same kids in the same classes. So I didn't get to branch out. And then another girl sang, and she was very good. And then I was the last act, so a lot of pressure.
You wrapped it up.
Yeah, I wrapped it up good because, so my parents were in the audience.
Your parents were there too?
They didn't know I was going to do it. It was a surprise I sprung on them.
Oh my God.
My dad always wanted me to be a comedian, and my mother would call me stupid. Oh! You're stupid, you want to be a comedian. I go, that's the whole point, you got to have that stupidity. So I look at the audience, he's got a big grin on his face, and she's like,
oh, really?
Yeah. Well, because proud Italian woman, her vision of me was working in a bank. Yeah. You got to work in a bank. You get the money, you give people the money. That's a good job. I go, that's not a good job. I don't want to work in a bank. No. I respect people who work in a bank. No offense, but no. I don't
You need to be out there.
Yeah. And then I did that, and they were in total shock. The nuns would give me the, what do you call it, the hairy eyeball. They were just like staring at me because I told a few nun jokes. Nothing bad or incriminating. And I'd look at the principal, but I'm graduating, right? She goes, not yet, Mr. Caruso. Like,
was he a priest, the principal?
She was a nun.
She was a nun.
She said, not yet, it's not official. I go, oh, sorry.
I can't imagine what it's like to go to right through schooling in a religious school, whatever the religion. I can't imagine it.
Yeah, it's so different because a lot of rules and restrictions and stuff like that. And as a comedian, you tend to bend them a bit.
Did you have to wear a uniform?
Yeah. Well, we at elementary school we did. You had to have a green tie. green khakis, like dark green, and a white shirt, and matches. Yeah. But then as you got into high school, they loosened it. You still had to wear a shirt and tie.
Yeah.
It's like, people would see me in a shirt and tie, and they'd say 5 words, "Will the defendant please rise?" You know?
Will the defendant please rise?
I was like, come on. So we did that, and it never loosened up. Then after you get out of there, it was college time. And in college, there's a project I got into, but it never dove in full time. And I said, well, I'll do what I can. Because I think I saw Steve Martin on stage in Boston. Mm-hmm. He was phenomenal, full of energy. Oh my God, all over the place. I'm sorry. He's going. Yeah. He worked like 2 hours straight. White suit. You didn't see a bead of sweat on him. He's going back and forth. He's taking that stage like he owned it, like going from 20 feet that way to 10 feet this way.
Was he like coached as to like the what do you call it? The things that someone holds up for the next joke? Did he have a script, or did he just?
He had a script he had in his head, but he wung a lot of things. Yeah. Like most comedians, as you get better, you tend to remember things. Unless you had 65 like I did now. But I'm still remember things.
Don't worry about it.
Well, because after I hit that age, it was always in my head. And I had a few shows last year, even during the pandemic, whether they be outside or whether they be online shows, and it'd be like, my God, I remember all this stuff. And, well, my wife goes, why wouldn't you? You've been doing it for 27, 28 years. Yeah. It'd be 28 years this September. It's like, so why wouldn't you remember that stuff? But I know people that, they can get stale because they're not on the stage. Anyway, going back into 1980, I did a comedy contest, finished third out of 100 people, which it was very flattering. But
were you in college by that time?
I was out of college.
You already? Oh, what did you major in back in college? Besides dating girls.
Besides dating girls, besides telling jokes. Actually, business management. It's almost like the kind of thing we're going to do. Business management. So
like I thought it was going to be.
It was so general.
Elementary education. All
I
the
wouldn't
girls
trust me with a business if you paid me. I'd look at me come out of college. Don't give him the keys.
Yeah.
So I did that, but like I said, after college, and I think it was like, so after I graduated, 75, 77, 3 years after I was out of college. I was in college twice at a community college, because I couldn't get it right the first time, but I just did a double major. Yeah. And I did business management, then I did computer science, which back then was key punch cards. So those people as old as me go, oh, I remember key punch cards, and anybody younger than 40 goes, huh? Key what?
Remember the old electronic typewriters?
Yes.
Smith Corona?
Yep.
I learned it on the Smith Corona.
Isn't that crazy? But anyway, so I did that, but then I think it was 1980, my friend goes, I enrolled you in class clown. I go, why? She goes, because you were the class clown. I go, yeah, but I don't have anything. You can work on it. And after like 4 nights of work, I worked in it with a friend doing voices, singing classic songs, and I did pretty good. I was in shock. I did better than I thought. Like I said, I finished third, but again, everybody had 5 minutes. And you won by applause break, and I didn't believe in bringing people. A, because no one wanted to come. Yeah. No, I'm joking. But mostly A is like, I didn't want to ask people, and I didn't want to have an edge where the guy that won had a ton of people. Yeah. The guy, second and third place, me and him, we only brought like not even 10 people each. But it was a good experience, and then I started doing open mics in Cambridge at Ding Ho's, which burnt down, that's a shock. And then I waited, I don't know how many years, 13 years to go back.
But what were you doing during that time? What was your job?
Always in computers back then, and I really liked it, but it's like, always in the back of my head, I'd watch comedians, like the typical comedian. I can do that. I can tell jokes. It's not as easy as people perceive it to me. Like, I can do that. Oh, I got plenty of jokes. But I always learned to try to write my own stuff, because I figured, well, I'd rather be original more than anything else. I mean, not that people use jokes, but it's so easy to fall into that trap. Like, I'll use a joke, but I'll do it in honor of somebody. Like, oh, this guy told me a joke, so I'll say it in his honor. And people go, oh, that's really cool. Yeah. But I do like that joke because it's clean, but so I'll use it. So in 93, I came back on a dare from co-workers, like, hey, if you do comedy, because I joked around at work, you ever do comedy, we'll follow you. Go to Nick's and we'll be right with you. And
Nick's, comedy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
And that was big back then. Yeah. It was a Monday night, September 13th, 1993. I go into Boston. I go, you guys coming? They go, yeah, we'll meet you there. And I get there early. I'm looking out the window. School bus pulls out, and 13 people stagger out, except the driver. He was sober. They staggered out, and they came to the show from that point.
How many people know were that?
It was like 13, 14 people. The irony of the whole thing is, like I said, oh, that's not much. But that night was a light night because on Monday night nobody goes out. And they had like 39, 40 people, so I had a third of the audience. So.
How long did your shows go for?
Nowadays, they go anywhere from 45 minutes to over an hour.
That's
anywhere
good.
over an hour, and I love it. Because I'm Italian, I can talk forever. It's like a prerequisite. Give me a microphone. Don't, if you tie my hands, what's that old saying? Tie my hands up, I'm like a mute. I can't speak. But to use the hands is like so perfect. And so, so nowadays shows are like, anywhere as low as 40. When someone tells me to do 45, I go, that's it? Because I know I can do more.
Yeah.
But starting to come back now, I just did, a couple of online shows, and all they wanted was 30 minutes. I'm saying to myself, wow, I ran out of time.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to pick and choose which jokes to use.
Like on Zoom?
Yeah. So there's one that's going to be on, I think, Fitchburg Cable Access TV or FATV. Yeah, Fitchburg Access TV. So they have one, and they'll be raising money for the high school, and they're all excited about it because they approved of the show. I go, too late, I just did it, but they liked it, and I just joked around and even talked a little bit with the audience, so it was really cool. Yet my real audience was like 2 younger kids from high school and somebody's husband, because they want to give me an audience, but they're like, oh, we're restricted. I go, no, you're not, but then 20 heads popped up on the screen. It was like probably where you are, and I was on stage, and I had the microphone looking right at them. Yep. It was so cool.
And you liked it.
Oh,
it good. Did they like it? Did they laugh a lot?
Yeah. They were a really great audience.
To be a stand-up comedian, I would think that, I can't think of a fear getting up in front of anyone, but are my jokes are they gonna go right?
You never have to think that, because the minute you question how your jokes are gonna go, you could stumble or you could forget. You put pressure on yourself. I just go with it and throw it out there. Like, my mother has never seen me do comedy in the 27 years plus. Yeah. I tell her why. She says it's because they laugh at you, and everybody gets a kick out of it. But it's true. They go, that's a good line. They go, no, she actually said that. They laugh at you. It's the whole point. And she didn't get it. Yeah,
your mother was not, as I remember, she was not too favorable towards your being a comedian.
No.
She called you, what did she used to say about you? You were student or something like that?
Student. This one from, stupid. She called me anything. I even told her I wanted to go into acting, and I'm acting.
Yeah.
I said, Ma, I act now. She goes, it's like, every answer in like the Italian dialect is, it's like, that means they don't like it, I guess.
Your father was rooting for you, though.
Yeah, he was big time. It's sad he lost his battle of cancer, because he was happy when I did that contest. He said, you're going to go back into it? Do some impersonations for me. I don't do that, But he was a big fan, so now he's got a good seat from heaven. He watches from above. I'm sure he loves it.
Now, you do the impersonations. Give us some of them.
One of my favorites, so I'll do a lot of older ones, but people do recognize them because the old ones can come back.
Yeah.
Like my friend started to imitate Reverend Jim from Taxi.
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, I loved him.
Oh, I love Reverend Jim. He's a great guy, but I don't know where he's going. Neither does he. But so my friends would get a big kick out of it, or if someone say, I'll say at work, okay, this is what you can do to your laptop. Just do this and you'll be fine. They go, okie doke. I go, I'm supposed to say okie doke, because Reverend Jim used to always say.
Yeah, he was my favorite on that. I liked him. He has played Uncle Fester in the Addams Family.
That's right,
and then he was on that thing with, what's that ride? Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. He did all 3 movies. Doc. He was Doc in that. Another one's always been a favorite. If I have an Italian crowd, they just love The Godfather. So.
So I'll just give him a little bit of Doc. Look, if you don't do it, I'll give you a copy. You can't refuse.
And they just get the biggest kick out of it. Because people say, oh my God, that reminds me of my uncle. What was he, in the mafia? No. That's how he was. He talked soft. He just talked just like that.
So that people will understand. They want to hear what he's saying.
Identical.
Just like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, people get a big kick out of it. Like, sometimes when I do birthday parties, like if I do someone turning 40, 50, 60, sometimes I'll do Marilyn Monroe singing Happy Birthday to President Kennedy as the Godfather, or as Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
And while I do it, if it's a guy, it's even funnier because I'll run my fingers through their hair. I'll sit in their lap. Like, Bill Clinton is such a favorite. Like, I'll go, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. I mean,
Yeah.
and I show the name, and they love it, and I'm running my fingers through their hair. People taking pictures left and right.
Oh, yeah.
And it's such a big hit because everybody loves Bill Clinton still.
You must see a lot of the cell phones up like this.
Yeah. Oh, God,
Does it bother you, or do you love it?
No, I love it. Because, so, if I'm doing a party or an anniversary, like, just before the pandemic, it was February in a big town in Templeton, because I'm huge. Templeton's in the middle of nowhere. They had me roast a guy. Nicest guy in the world. There's nothing bad to say about him.
Who was it?
Just some guy who,
Yeah.
like, retired. Did he retire? So he turned 60. He was thinking of retiring. He had to, like,
Early.
either he had a job, like, he worked in the academic, but he wasn't a teacher.
Yeah.
So I'm just making fun of him, like, oh, so you couldn't get a job as a teacher, huh? You couldn't stick around, you couldn't sub for anybody,
Yeah.
and they're joking, but there's nothing bad to say about him.
Yeah.
So I just started tearing into the audience because they were just so, like his kids were like in their 30s and 40s. They go, who are you holding up the bar? He goes, I'm his son. I go, get away from the bar, you're a bad example for others. And they get a big kick out of it, and then they become a part of it. And then a woman's laughing, like, what are you laughing at? She goes, I'm his sister, because they like the idea that I picked on them. And then I started picking on the father. Going, what kind of kids did you raise? One guy's holding up a bar, daughter's laughing at the son. The other son, I don't know where he is. He goes, over there. And he's like way back. I go, what are you hiding? Witness protection, and they're...
We're talking with Jerry Caruso, and he is a comedian from Gardner.
Yeah.
You've been at the Ding Hole, the
Yeah.
Nick's Comedy Stop.
Yep.
Any radio shows?
Oh, radio, WPKZ, Fitchburg, the Morning Drive, the Lunchbox Hour. Matter of fact, I was just on there a couple of weeks ago promoting a benefit.
How can they reach you, Jerry, if they'd like to have you come?
My picture's in the post office. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, you still-
How can they reach me? Facebook. I'm on Facebook. Jerry with a J. Caruso, Caruso. My email address, Jerry_Caruso@hotmail.com. And my long website, which people desecrate me for, it's www.jerrygcarusocomic.webs.com.
Do you have a contact?
That's what you get.
Do you have
That's what you
button
get for a
they
free
pick?
website.
The contact button drives me nuts when people on their website don't have a way to contact.
God.
You have one, right?
No, I better put that in.
Yeah, because then I have to go searching all over Facebook for that person or
That's
call
true.
their company.
Well, I'm on LinkedIn too. People find me. A lot of people find me on LinkedIn. Because I offer to talk to Rotary clubs. I just did Westboro. I'm doing Fitchburg Wednesday, and I'm doing Leominster Rotary Club the end of the month.
You might like the Hudson one. I'm speaking there. They're pretty good.
I think I did that a while ago, but I could always call them back.
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to filter myself back in to do online shows for support groups. Because I know support groups have it tough, and they can zoom in, and if they have a Zoom and I can hop on that, I can have a built-in audience there.
Imagine being a stand-up comedian like Jerry, and we get hit with the COVID.
Oh, God.
Is it like, did you say, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Well, I started getting creative. Like I started hosting my own Zooms, talking to comedians and performers, and then people contact me with their Zooms. Online shows. I did an online show for a musical production company where they never invite comedians. I was on like 2 or 3 times, and it was fun. But it's like, just to get out and do it. Then I did a motivational speech. I think I mentioned the last time for the Westboro YMCA,
Yep.
and they have a program with Live Strong for cancer patients. They had me do Laughter is the Best Medicine, where I health benefits of laughter, then a joke, and so forth and so on. They did very well. They enjoyed it. And it was really good how they produced it. Like, there was a guy speaking, then another guy, and then he'd introduce me, and I'd look to the right and say, thanks, Len, and he wasn't even there. Just say that and go on to your thing. So when they put it all together, there was like 1, 2, 3, numerous spots, but 3 of the primary spots were us 3. We were never there at the same time because of COVID. And then they had cancer patients come in and tell their story about how the program helped them. But it was really, it was a wild time. It was a lot of fun.
Was it that fundraiser?
Yeah, that
So
was raising money for
He'd be perfect for your fundraiser. Really,
possibly.
you would really, really do well. I would think.
It's so fun.
Do you ever go to senior centers, Jerry?
Oh, I love it because they tell me to tell dirty jokes. I go, I can't. I was hired not to. They go, why? You know?
I bet the
Yeah.
men say, why?
Well, some of the women. One woman claimed I'm his groupie, and she's like 80. It's like, all right, whatever
You
you
weren't
say.
even
hon.
born yet, was she?
Groupie. I'm his groupie. But there was one guy come up to me. I did one in Ashburnham, again, because I'm big. I travel around. Ashburnham was actually the next town over from me. Guy goes to me, are you going to be spicy? I go, what do you mean? He goes,
Uh-oh.
are you going to be a little dirty? I go, I can't be. He goes, Then he walked away. But he stayed for the show, and he had a good time. He goes, I don't know how you did it. He goes, you weren't even dirty. I go, well, I was asked not to be. He goes, we've heard it all, he says. I go, oh, I get it, but I'm going by.
And it was a senior center.
Yeah, Council on Aging, yeah. And they packed it. They go, it was the biggest crowd, and this is so funny. So they wanted to pay me, but they had no budget. But they took collections from everybody who's in the audience.
Yeah.
They had to be, that was the biggest audience they've ever had for any event, which is really cool. I think first one would be a cribbage tournament. I don't know what the heck. But they packed the place. And so a woman hands me an envelope. I felt like I was a pimp. There was just so much. There was a lot of money, a lot of ones, a few fives, a lot of ones, and a lot of change. Some
Yes.
people brought change.
Yeah.
They paid me $99.50. I go, someone could have kicked in the other 50 cents and they're laughing their heads off. I'm thinking, like,
That is precious.
at least we did that. But,
Oh.
but it was so cool.
Yeah.
And they sent me a nice card to mail. It's like a homemade card made by them where it was an octopus. And all the arms coming out saying, thank you, gracias, you know, so
Did
forth.
they sign it each
Yeah,
person?
it was, well, one of them signed it in behalf of everyone because it wasn't
Yeah.
a huge card.
Oh, yeah.
But they were very thankful. Thanks for bringing laughter. I still have that card because it's like, some of that stuff is worth all the weight in gold. You know, people that appreciate it or like people call you back or people comment on Facebook. I remember back in 2009 you did this for my dad when he was ill and stuff. I go, oh my God, yeah, you know, and then it hits me, you know, because I don't think about everything I've done, but I try not to forget stuff that I've done for people.
It's not easy, especially what I do. I meet so many people.
Yeah.
When we began in 2012, and I was doing it before that somewhere else. And recently, there was someone, I said, oh, wow, her book looks really great. I write to her, she'd already been on, and I said, Jay, we'd like to have you come on. Would you like to? She says, Jan, I was on the show, you know, back in maybe 2014.
But still.
I'm like, oh, I said, I apologize so much.
But I mean, but if you go through so many people, that's what it is. Like I've had a repeat on my Zoom, but only because he goes, the guy, I go, did I have you on? He goes, yeah, I was one of his first shows. I go, oh yeah, well that's all right, so I'll come back again. Because he did a two-part thing. One show he talked about being a DJ, and the other one he talked about being an actor. So it was like, it mixed somehow, but you know, people didn't say like, oh, I'm not going to watch it because he was already on. But
You know what I think would be great is something like, you've probably done it, but Dana Farber, where people are in there getting their chemo, and there's really not, my husband had to have it, and you basically are sitting there for a couple hours.
yeah,
A comedian over, or in hospice, too. Hospice care?
I would love to do that once everything gets settled. The only thing that I do, I hate that. The words don't go right. I know. They don't go right. But for the most time, for about 4 or 5 years, I was doing the Hope Lodge in Boston,
Yep.
which is a place for cancer patients.
And there was one in Worcester.
Yes, and the Worcester closed down. I'm so
I've
sad.
been there, yeah.
I did a show there for like a couple of years. It was great. We'd go in the living room and do it. All the patients would be around. You know, the Hope Lodge, and you know what they're set up for audience members that don't know.
It's so sad that went, you know.
Oh, that was devastating because we didn't picture it, but it depended on occupancy, on population, and it's like, yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
But the one in Boston gets really busy. And every month I go and do a show with a good friend, comedian, Paul Durant's. He do 10 minutes up front, 15 minutes, and I do 45 minutes. And they get the biggest kick out of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
tell me jokes afterwards,
Yeah.
or they tell me how I help them. I go, no.
Yeah.
You're helping me right here, therapeutically. If I've had a bad day, I'm seeing you guys laugh.
Yeah.
And some of them say, like, one guy come up to me and goes, oh, the guy that tells me jokes, he goes, you got me through my bad therapy. He goes, I had to go for the cancer treatment, and I get scared, and I think of some of your jokes, and I laughed. I go,
Yeah.
really? Were they that funny? You remember them? And he goes, Oh yeah, I did, and that made me feel
Well,
good.
we've got a Dana Farber right up here in Milford.
Oh, that's right.
It's like, what, 10 minutes up the road.
Are you watching Dana Farber? You should be watching. You should be watching because I'd come into it. Yeah, because it's the kind of thing where, see, and what I try to do, and people, not that they find it hard to believe, but your typical comedian, what's your impression of a comedian? You know, edgy, you know, topical,
Yeah.
4-letter word here and there.
Able to carry on the conversation.
Right. And I won't do that because to me it's like I should just, you know, be clean, still make them laugh, and, you know. So if you're out at Dana Farber, yeah, please.
Yeah, I mean, really, they've had they have a concert piano in the lobby up here, and they'll sometimes have a band comes in and
Wow.
playing that. Then they had a guitar. Was it the guitarist? Some upstairs where people are. But really, I mean, there's not much to do while they're sitting in their chair getting their chemo, and to have. I don't know how they could do it, but have something where somebody comes in and everybody starts laughing. You see people coming in and they're just kind of sitting there. They're not crazy about being there.
Right? So it gets their mind off of it.
Oh, yeah.
If I could be a help that way. I always thought, you know, I saw that movie Patch Adams. I go, you know, I want to be a Patch Adams. She goes, you're not a doctor. I go, I know, but I can pretend to be a doctor of humor. You know,
Exactly. Before we sign off, Jerry, how can they reach you again?
Facebook, Jerry with a J, Caruso, Caruso. Jerry_Caruso at hotmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn, my whole name. My stupid website. It's not stupid, it's really good.
How far will you travel, Jerry?
Oh, anywhere, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so, you know, this on YouTube.
All over New England. I've been in New York. I've been in Jersey. So it's like, it's the furthest that I went. I mean, my friend's begging me to come down to North Carolina. He goes, we could use you down here. I go, use me for what? Farming? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Tourism? But he goes, no. He goes, we could use your comedy because he used to come to all my shows.
Yeah.
But he relocated down there. He goes, I'll put you up for the night. He goes, I got to get paid. I got to justify my expenses to go down there. Oh, we'll take care of that. But
he's also seen Lenny Clark. Many of you who used to
me and Lenny worked together a few times.
Was it Jerry Williams on his radio show? He'd have Lenny Clark on. He was Mr.
So
Mayor.
Fun. Oh God.
Oh my God! I would.
Steve Sweeney's another one.
Steve Sweeney was Mr. Mayor.
That's right. He'd do every mayor.
Yeah,
He'd do every New England accent. He'd
Yep.
do a Southie, an Eastie, a Dorchester accent.
Dorchester.
And Steve, very funny guy. Steve and Lenny Clark, two of the icons of Boston comedy. There are a lot of them. Please don't get me wrong.
And but they're talking about voting, and Mr. Mayor says we need our dead people. You know. And there was something else that the mayor said. I don't think I can repeat it, but it was absolutely hysterical.
Those guys.
He had it nailed.
Those guys are comedy geniuses.
Where are they now?
Oh, they're you know, Lenny Clark's popular, doing a ton of shows as things came back. Steve Sweeney was too. Both Steve and Lenny, two of the ones that heightened demand. They have the cachet, they have the name, but they're also incredibly talented. And by the way, off stage, they're very nice people. I worked with Lenny, I think, back in 2016. Yes, 2016. Jerry, where the hell you been? He says, you know.
It's so sad that Jerry Williams died.
I know.
mean, not that long ago. He was still pretty young, in his 70s, 70s, I think.
And he was doing that show on BZ, and
we're going to have
people got
Jerry
on it.
back again. We've got to have you back again. It's really good.
Yeah, I'll tell you stories.
He's our resident.
That's right.
comedian.
I'll tell you stories. I got a lot of stories. The worst show, the best show. Oh, I can tell you stories.
We're going to have to say goodbye. I think I just got to work. Jerry, resident comedian here on Being My Guest. You will watch it on YouTube. He's going to be all over the world. I have someone,
Yeah, right.
I have someone in Japan who's watching this.
Really?
Yes.
That's
an
cool.
old schoolmate from where I went to high school.
No way.
She ended up in Japan. She's a teacher for the Japanese children on a military site.
Whoa, that's so cool.
All I have to do is tell them where and when. And
That's
then there's a
very
lady
cool.
in a assisted living or something in Providence, Rhode Island. She's an author. We connected. And when I told her about this program, she watches, I think, just every single one.
Oh, that's so cool.
But see, that's how people bring it up.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so maybe we could have you back in the summer.
Yeah,
That'd be
yeah,
great.
sure.
All righty, but maybe the COVID will be all gone.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But maybe I'll be around here doing something because I'd love
Let
to.
me know
That's
if
a
you're
great
gonna be
idea.
if
That's
you're
a
gonna
great
be.
idea.
We'll see you next time.
Good night.
We'll
God
have
bless.
him.
Bye.
I guess.
Riding on a shooting star,